Everyone dies. Why exercise? The eternal health fantasy is not the goal, right? There's a lot of stuff in this health and wellness, space, and there's a lot of arguments that people come up with that are really silly. And one of them is literally this, like, you're gonna die. Like, what's the point? It's not about living forever. There's a really good chance you're gonna live longer, right? But what it's about is quality of life. That's kind of what our little picture here is the representation of today. Um, right? The theme here is you got quality of life versus this eternal health fantasy thing. That's not what we're trying to sell you on. That's not I'm about with it, right? Like, health to me is really most of like a side effect with it at this point, right? Like the biggest reason I do it are things like mental health and an overall quality of life. And there's some other interesting points too I wanted to touch on. Like I just watched this really interesting video from the healthygamer.gg guy, Dr. K, talking all about motivation. And one of the things he was talking about is like motivation is not necessarily this trait that people have, right? It's more like a bank, and you make deposits in it, or you take stuff out. And generally, like lazy behavior is just a drain. Whereas things like exercise, they take some out, but they deposit into it for like every other day. Why? Because like you feel better. I'm like 35. Most people my age are already starting to complain about all kinds of silly stuff. Whereas I've been doing this since I was like 19. I feel great. I still wake up every morning, a good amount of energy. I don't need coffee, any of this stuff, right? I wake up every day. I go out in my garage. I do my workout, and it sets me up for my day. I make that deposit almost every day, into that account essentially of motivation and discipline that you build up through doing this. And another point I wanted to hit on here is what I call everyone knows that boiling frog analogy, right? I think that's what most people have going on is like, even when I got into this back around when I was like 19 or so, right? Like, I didn't think I felt that bad. You don't know how bad you feel because you're boiling frog yourself is what you're doing to yourself, right? Very slowly over time, you started eating some bad food. Probably started so young for most of us that like I grew up on Hot Pockets and stuff. It probably started for most of us so young that you never even experienced just like being really healthy. You never even experienced that. So you don't know how that feels. And I have helped multiple people through this. You can have a friend, his big passion is like computer coding and all in the intellect, right? And so his thing was always like, man, I don't care about my physical body that much. I just don't. I care about up here. Well, like, your brain lives inside of your body, right? And a healthy environment tends to help with the function of things. So he finally listened one time and started eating better foods from farmers market, doing some exercise and stuff. Within about a month, that dude called me and he was like blown away at the new levels of mental clarity he had and such. He's like, when he's at work and a problem comes up in his coding, he felt like the answer would just pop into his head, so much faster. Just all these little things you don't realize that you don't feel as good as you're supposed to feel. And I can attest to myself, like, generally the happiest times most people have, they're doing cool stuff like this, with it doesn't have to be family, it be friends, a dog, like, anything. But generally the best moments of your life aren't going to be like sitting down, eating crappy food and stuck on the couch and not feeling good, feeling like it literally like aches and hurts to like get up and do stuff. These are all things that like it is a choice. The like epidemic of back pain that most people have, right? Like, back pain is not this thing that like humans are just born with back pain. Most of it's because you've developed really bad movement patterns because you sit all the time. You have really weak core muscles, and you probably have an anterior pelvic tilt, and like all these little things, and they're all correctable through just proper movement and exercise. And it's like, understand, right? I hit on that Dr. K point that like exercise is a drain. It takes some motivation to do it, right? It's gonna take some of that out of that bank account, right? But it puts a deposit in too for like every other day, because you're gonna wake up the next day and you feel better, and you feel better about yourself also after it's done. It's all this cascading effect stuff. Highly recommend you look into it, even if you are one of these people who thinks, everyone dies, why exercise? Because while you are here, you get to choose, do you want to feel really crappy, or do you want to feel pretty good like these people here all look like they feel pretty good? Anyway, that's it, guys. Have a good one.